What up, everybody? Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for Neil Rule. The man to my left is four-time Stanley Cup champion with the Detroit Red Wings, Darren McCarty. And speaking of the Detroit Red Wings, they needed that last night like human beings and any living creatures need air, because last night the Detroit Red Wings, they defeated the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-3 in overtimes for only their second win in the last 10 games. But hey, the Red Wings are still technically in that last playoff spot right now. So big win. I know it doesn't make up for the stretch that they've been in, but shout out to Lucas Raymond and Patrick Kane for really stepping up when this team needed them most. Yes, Lucas Raymond, is that a 5-game goal streak at this point? 7 goals in 5 games, I believe. That's
9 points.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been on an absolute heater, and shout out to him for in games. I know at the beginning when Dylan Larkin was out, he, like everybody else, was in a bit of a goal and assist embargo, but Lucas Raymond has really stepped up, probably played the best 5-game stretch of his life when the team has needed him most, and played a big role in them getting 2 out of the last 5 games. So shout out to Lucas Raymond, and shout out to Patrick Kane. Funny thing, in the last Red Wings 3 overtime games, not wins, games, Patrick Kane has had the game-winning goal. So shout out to him. Thank goodness that Steve Yzerman went and got him mid-season. But Darren McCarty, is it an exaggeration to say that the Red Wings saved their season last night?
I think I tweeted out. Did you get it, Spenny?
Yep, I got it.
I think I tweeted out last night right after this game, and that's pretty much that was
Yes.
gutty. And the times when you need it the most, Sam, and you brought up, a couple things. And I've said it all along, is you cannot worry about what you've done or not have done. You're in the thick of it right now, right? You have your room for error has gone, right? Last night, that was, as I'm watching them take that face off after that last icing, going, boys, if you're going to do it, it's not getting any easier. We're seeing the teams around them. We mentioned, the Washington. They're not going to quit, former Stanley Cup champion. Philly hasn't died. They won a big game last night, against the Leafs and stuff like this. So this was imperative. And what you've done now, right? You've put yourself in a position Thursday to play the Islanders, and in the proverbial 4-point game, if you can beat them in regulation, you pretty much can push them behind. So we're hanging on by the skin of our teeth, are we not, Spenmo?
Yeah.
But it's, again, you can only control games at hand. Now, I've said it all along, 96 points is the goal. That's 10 out of the next 15 games wins. That's 2 out of 3 games wins. Schedule doesn't get easier, but again, what I've seen from this team, Spenny and I were talking about it before the game. What you saw in desperation in the last 12 minutes of the game is the way that they have to figure out a way to play all the games. Spenny, you nailed it. Mm-hmm. First thing that was so imperative to me is in going to the third period is what they have 15 shots.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to score goals without shots. You mentioned it too. Mo Sider, what do you do? Throw it in the net.
Threw it at the net.
Right?
Joe Bueno in the front
Absolutely.
of the net. Yep.
So guys stepped up at the opportune times. Leaders, you mentioned it, Sam. We're watching somebody emerge, right? What did I always say? There has to be a guy to step up when other guys go down. We are seeing this benefit Lucas Raymond not only in leadership but also production. And then Patrick Kane's doing what Patrick Kane does. Now, just imagine if we can get DeBrincat going and everything else. So
Larkin comes back.
we're right in the middle of it. It's everything that Gary Bettman wants as a commissioner. It's Gary Bettman hockey, where it comes down to the last week of the season that everybody's locked into playoff mode. But Sam, you nailed it as far as oxygen, as far as anything else. That's the game. And if you watch the interview after the game with Patrick Kane, he mentioned it. There's a guy with 3 Stanley Cups and, that's been around, arguably the greatest American-born player. He said, when we look back, this could be that moment, right? So you're always looking for moments. How do I know that? Because coming up in less than a week, we're going to talk about March 26th, which was the ultimate moment. So was that sort of in this year's version of them getting it going? Well, we'll see how they come out. I wanted to add another thing. Props to James Reimer.
Absolutely.
Right? So, I mean, and you know what? This takes nothing away from Alex Lyon, because he did everything that he could, right, for as long as he could. But this is where it doesn't matter. he's winning games. His last 2 games he's won for you, so hopefully he can get on a roll. But yeah, that was as exciting. I came out of my chair, so I mean I'm still a fan as much as everybody else. So hopefully we can use this and take care of the Islanders. You know, there's other Spenny. Were you mentioning something today? You said there's something that you had to bring up that you needed my blessing on, but I'm not gonna like it. But if you explain it to me, I might be okay with it.
Yeah, D-Mac. We got to do it for one time and one time only.
All right.
We got to root for the Toronto Maple Leafs because they are playing the Washington Capitals in a rematch game
Tonight.
And the Capitals are 1 point behind us with 2 games in hand.
Yep.
The blessing is this is a what time is it? This is a 12-hour blessing at 11:23 p.m. This comes off the board, right? But yes, we must cheer for Toronto to win tonight. So it's okay to be able to do that. Yes, Spencer, you have the blessing. So they couldn't do it for us last night against Philly. Let's hope they can do it tonight against Washington.
Yeah, unfortunately, the nature with the Red Wings' recent stretch of poor play is that you now have to scoreboard watch again really intently, and that's why we have to root for the Capitals to lose tonight. So, Spenny, did the Red Wings save their season last night?
I think they did. I mean, if you lose that game, you'd lose to the last place team. It's not setting a great precedent going forward, especially going into a matchup which is another must-win against the Islanders, which is your next game. So you needed that win. They punked you in the first period. They straight up punked the Red Wings in the first period. They had more shots shorthanded than the Red Wings did on their power play in the first period. So that could not happen. The way they bounced back, they started actually throwing pucks at the net. Lucas Raymond was the savior of this team last night. So I'm excited. I was happy that they got the win, but man, it did not look good for the first like 25 minutes of the game last night.
Well, survive in advance, right?
You guys ever have like that, like you get the scare, right? Maybe it's you're not paying attention and you got to slam on your brakes and you're like, oh my God, I could have rear-ended that. But you have that scare and you feel like you got away with it.
Yeah.
They've sucked in the emotion and stuff like that, but they haven't had the scare like that. So hopefully that shocks them back, because usually after scares like that, aren't you more attentive to whatever was distracting, like you got away with one? Mm-hmm. That's how they got to feel moving forward. And if they use that, come out, like you said, Spenny, that game was started out the way all the rest of them have. It's like, where's the emotion? Where's the, get into it. So that's the leadership, is that today, going into tomorrow, is they got to find a way to start when the pucks drop. Because here's the thing too. What did you just say? On the penalty kill, right on the power play, that they're getting outplayed and stuff like that. So it means that they're doing the right things and putting themselves in position. But then it's just a focus. So let's hopefully they can focus. Hopefully they can power play early in the game and score and change the narrative of coming from behind, because that gets old.
Yes. And every team that's ever won anything, or at least most of them, has had that moment where they've had to avert disaster. And I give the Red Wings a lot of credit for doing that last night, because falling down 2-0 in the first period, especially coming off of a stretch where they lost 8 of 9, there might be an element of here we go again, especially since Larkin was still out and Jake Wallman was out. That was going to be tough to come back from that, even though it was home against Columbus. But anywho, they went and they tied that up. Shout out to them for that. But then Lucas Raymond with a goal with 12 seconds left to send it into overtime, and then winning it in overtime, which we all know 3-on-3 hockey, a lot of random things can happen. And shout out to the Red Wings in overtime, by the way, because they've won their last 5 overtime matchups, with 3 of them being game-winning goals by Patrick Kane. So they did what they had to do. And at this time of year, especially as I mentioned, with them needing a win more than living creatures need oxygen on a daily basis, you survive in advance. And shout out to Lucas Raymond. Like I said at the beginning, he's played his best 5-game stretch ever when the Red Wings needed him most, when some other guys, who I will get into in the next segment, have been doing cardio out there. Shout out to Lucas Raymond for that. And the Red Wings, they're now, despite that tailspin where it seemed like at times the season was going off the rails, they're still in that last playoff spot. And if the Capitals lose tonight to the Toronto Maple Leafs, which we're all rooting for, hey, the Red Wings kind of have it all out in front of them again. They're going to need a little bit of help, which they wouldn't have needed if they didn't have this tough stretch, but they gave themselves enough cushion to where they can withstand that. You get Dylan Larkin back. You hopefully get certain guys who I'm going to mention in the next segment to step up, and hopefully they can go on a bit of a run and win some of the games coming up that they really, really need to have as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Was not Edvinsson number 3 before, or did he wear 77 last time he was up? Spenny?
He was 3 before, yeah.
So he's new number?
Yeah.
77, which the ski mask boy was asking about numbers, and it changes differently. Usually if you're a free agent coming in, like, and you can get your number, or if it's a rookie guy or a younger guy, they'll give it to you, you know, like Kane got it from Sprong. If you're like a Bergeron or whatever, they're gonna give you a number. But the Edvinsson 77, they give you a 77. That means you're part of the future. Like you ain't going anywhere. Like you've sort of progressed, and it was also too because they gave Hall 3, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they gave Hall 3. So that just means So they got big plans for Edmonton, and shout out to Big Cy for coming in and you know changing the tide 1-0. So for all you guys that were saying that he could be the difference. He was.
I just wanted to ask, have hockey players ever paid for numbers?
Ever paid?
Yeah.
Like,
so let's say it's somebody that's been on the team, you coming in, you want the
yeah,
number.
like they'll buy them shit watches or whatever. Like they're just sometimes there's like a negotiation or something. But it's usually in hockey, it's usually like, you know, buy a snowmobile or you know what do you like golf clubs or you know like there's usually like an interaction that. In football, it's big money. Or basketball or whatever like it. But yeah, so hockey, good old boy network, they figure it out.